issue regarding current security dilemmas surrounding us, especially within the Indian Ocean region. We understand that regional security challenges need to be addressed together. The Indian Ocean, with neighbors many countries, is a valuable asset, an important region that we need to maintain together to ensure stability in the region. The Indian Ocean, which facilitates a significant share of world trade and serves as an economic lifeline for over 2 billion people, has become a geopolitical event. The Straits of Malacca in the east and Hormuz in the west are some of the most strategic choke points in this region, which hosts 64% of the world's oil trade and movement of half of the world's carrier ships. The availability of 40% of the world's offshore petroleum, mineral deposit, and extremely diverse marine ecosystem further make the Indian Ocean region, or IOR, important for economic and geopolitical interests. The developing challenges within the region, ranging from traditional threats such as terrorism, piracy, illegal smuggling, to non-traditional threats including climate change, increasing natural disaster, and loss of traditional livelihoods. Therefore, major security threats in the Indian Ocean, both traditional and non-traditional, call for the cooperation and coordination among countries located in the region. The evolving challenges also means that we need new approaches and education from our stakeholders to meet the global needs, to provide prompt assistance during times of emergency. With the potential resources and security threats mentioned above, hopefully this dialogue may contribute thoughts, ideas, and perhaps solutions for us to engage further with the practical level. With that being said, there is not any other wish from me besides having a fruitful and substantive exchange of minds today with all tremendous invited speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the welcoming remarks, Dr. Nadia. We would also like to invite His Excellency Hosam Borong, Ambassador of the European Union to Indonesia and to Brunei to give welcoming remarks. His Excellency, please come to the stage.
Good morning all. I'm very glad to be here and I'm privileged to greet indeed Dr. Medina Emilio, the Deputy Executive Director of the Center of Strategic and International Studies. Also to greet my dear colleague, Ambassador from the Republic of Korea, and the representative of the Indonesian Army and Navy, Admiral President and Admiral Service, as colleagues from embassies and friends from here. So it is a great pleasure to be here today at CSIS. CSIS is a very prestigious, enlightening and thought-provocative institution which deserves very well its reputation both in Indonesia, in ASEAN and beyond, as indeed a key actor in terms of thinking and strategic thinking. It's also a great pleasure to be here on Friday, not just because it's end of a busy week, or indeed a very busy month, or even a busy year, but because for us in the EU and for our Indonesian friends, it's also today the final event of an extremely rich week, which started with the 4th EU-ASEAN seminar on defense and security, which then continued with the 3rd EU-Indonesia dialogue on the security issues, and which also saw the EU-Indonesia political dialogue taking place. And so as you can see this week, we had an extremely intense engagement with Indonesia and with our ASEAN friends on defense and security issues, which also show well our interest to the region. And indeed, all these meetings which took place this week didn't take place here in this period of the year as a coincidence. The reason they also took place is because we're all glad to see Indonesia sitting at the UN Security Council as of January, and we absolutely need EU and Indonesia and others to close ranks as we see too many cracks in multilateral fora like the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Conference of Parties, but even on the UN consensus on the Middle East, on the peace process, and on the Iranian nuclear deal called JCPOA. Too many cracks, which compares us to, as I said, close ranks, even though there was country like Indonesia. But just 1 month ago, Christian Leffler, who is the Deputy Secretary of the European External Action Service, was in this room, and he was engaging on the theme of connectivity in Europe and Asia, with the title "Long Distance but Short Things." And this was indeed a way for him to present the recently adopted EU policy paper on connectivity between Europe and Asia 5.3. But the theme that gathers us today, security, is a perfect illustration of this connectivity. And indeed, the European Union and Asia, and certainly the European Union and Indonesia, share many large security challenges and threats. Distance and borders are just providing an illusion of protection. We may think that since we are so far away, we are not exposed to the same threats and challenges within the EU are. Just take maritime security. 90% of international trade is, and 2/3 of the world's maritime trade passes through Asian waters and straits. And 42% of the value of seaborne trade is carried by European ship owners. And you may even know that 3 of the largest container ship lines are European. I may even mention that because some of them are well known, others are not. Maersk, which is the Danish one, CMA-CGM, which is a French one, and if you allow MSC, which is an Italian-Swiss one. So the ones I will even embrace with Switzerland, which is not the United States, but still has a strong shared interest with the EU on these issues. And as you also probably well know, the EU is the first trade actor worldwide. It may be less known that the EU is the first provider of foreign direct investment and the first beneficiary of foreign direct investment. And what is even less known as a paradox in this region is that the EU is the first provider of foreign direct investment in ASEAN. And accumulated assets invested by European companies in ASEAN are even outpacing the accumulated Japanese and American assets invested in ASEAN. And so it shows you very well how much we've invested in the region and how much the security and the prosperity of Asia and Southeast Asia and certainly Indonesia are important for us. Now, one could imagine that I was a little bit pretentious and a little bit arrogant, and that because of these big numbers, Europe would come back here to Asia to impose its rule and to impose its will. Well, in all frankness, this is not the case, and you all probably know, and let's say it here with a lot of let's say humility, that we Europeans have learned the hard way after the big mistakes we did in the 19th and 20th century, that prosperity and peace are much more sustainable when achieved through cooperation, through rules-based approach, rather than through aggression, domination, or even oppression as we used to do in the past. And so it should be no surprise for Asian friends, our Indonesian friends, to see that the European Union now wants to promote a rules-based approach based on good governance on land, certainly at sea, and that we want to promote freedom of navigation everywhere and the respect for international law and mechanism to settle any dispute. Now take for example the case I just mentioned of piracy and freedom of navigation. It was the European Union which first set up a multinational maritime mission under a mandate to combat piracy in the Gulf of Aden 10 years ago, the Operation Atalanta. And you will have the occasion later on this morning to listen about the experience we did in the EU, but also with friends like the Korean Navy in this mission. And indeed it was very successful up to a point where there is basically no piracy left in the Gulf of Aden. And this, in addition of this very tangible success, this operation was also and still is a ground for military cooperation and learnings on interoperability of forces. And I'm glad to see that the Indonesian Navy, and I salute you again, Fabian, is also showing interest in the kind of experience one can gather by putting together navies from different countries on a cooperation. Now take another example, which is freedom of navigation. You have several European navies which are also making a matter of principle of cruising through the South China Sea, through international waters, because we believe that this principle is key to be respected worldwide, including in South China Sea. Now if you take terrorism and radicalization, addressing foreign terrorist fighters and homegrown radicalization, as well as terrorist content on online features, is very high on the European agenda, but it is also very high on the Indonesian agenda. And we're glad to compare notes and experience on how to tackle hate speech and other radicalized content on online supports. So we could multiply the examples of current security challenges that affect us in Indonesia and in Europe, regardless of distances. Cyber and hybrid threats, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear risks and accidents. And just remember the avian flu a couple of years ago, when the sneezing of one man in Hong Kong on a particular day was followed over the next day by a couple of cases in Europe, and which showed us how interconnected our interests were, including on human health. Now, many of you in this room may know, and I suspect that many of you in the room will not know, not remember, that in June 2016, 2 years ago, the European Union adopted a very important policy document called the Global Strategy, which was a new foreign policy and security policy document about how the EU wants to position itself in the world. And such a document was long due because the previous one was dated on 2003, at the time when the world was quite different from today, and at that time it was the so-called security strategy. Now the ambition was to be broader and more comprehensive in this global strategy, a document I encourage you to read, also in particular because on page 38 it mentioned very clearly 3 countries, Japan, the Republic of Korea, and Indonesia, as countries with which the European Union wants to engage in further on security issues. And so this EU global strategy makes very clear the connection between the European prosperity and the Asian peace and stability, which I already illustrated before. So some may say, why is the EU interested in Asian security? And more importantly, why? What does the EU bring to the table, and what are the European Union assets? And I hear this question all the time in this region. Well, the answer to the first question is rather easy. And the first question is, why is the EU interested in security in Asia? I outlined already a couple of reasons why, but I will stress it again here. Just look at the facts. China is our second trade partner. ASEAN is our third trade partner, the first being the United States. And so our prosperity is very closely linked and depending on Asia. And so this again is very well reflected in the global strategy I mentioned, but also reflected in an important policy which has been adopted just 5 months ago by the Council of European Foreign Ministers, who call it European Council Conclusion. And this is a conclusion on the EU engagement on security in Asia. The European Foreign Ministers have very clearly stated that the EU had to raise its stake in Asia on security and defense issues. Now, the second question, whether the EU brings to the table is even more, let's say, commonly heard here in Asia. Well, here I would say that the question or the answer to this question is quite straightforward. What we represent, the first answer that comes to my mind is clear, it's value. We bring values which we share with a country like Indonesia. Respect for international law, support of multilateralism, appetite for consensus and compromise. We also bring an experience of conflict resolution. The EU has brought some experience and helped root up and implement peace deals in Aceh 12 years ago, well here in Indonesia, but also in Mindanao. And we have also keep providing the light share when it comes to reconstruction and development in Myanmar, in Afghanistan. And we were also the largest contributor to the World Bank Trust for the reconstruction of Aceh 12 years ago. And we complement the UN sanctions regime against the nuclear ambition of North Korea and other weapons of mass destruction programs for North Korea. Now, what are EU assets? Well, I believe that the answer to the third question is also more and more obvious. We bring on more assets also because our assets are growing. I already mentioned here the Atalanta mission, also the so-called UCAP Nest station, which is a capacity building mission in Somalia and in other countries of the Western Indian Ocean. But we are also building up these assets. You may have heard of so-called new battle groups. But what is also now on the table is so-called EU Permanent Structural Cooperation, PESCO in our jargon, but also European Intervention Initiative, the building up of EU civil protection assets, the building up of Frontex, the European Border Agency, which will have as many as 10,000 now officials, with the EU flag on their shoulder in a couple of years. So all these assets are, of course, firstly designed for the European territorial security, but many of them can be deployed and are supposed also to preserve our security risks beyond our borders. And those of you, like my, again, South Korean colleagues who have been following the development of the European Common Security Defence policies over the last years will certainly agree with me that more progress has been done over the last couple of years than a decade before. And this is something which is extremely dynamic and very high on the agenda of our leaders. Now I will conclude by saying that indeed Indonesia and the European Union have a lot to discuss and to engage on, as we have seen yesterday in our EU-Indonesia security dialogue, and as we have seen also at the political level in the political dialogue, which was led yesterday by the EU political director. And this is something where no theme is left behind, from nuclear proliferation to peacekeeping and disaster management and fight against organized crime or terrorism. I'm very happy today that we're able to continue this discussion with civil society and with practitioners from civilian and military authorities. Two excellent panelists have been gathered with distinguished speakers from Indonesia, the European Union, the United Nations, ICRC, and I welcome here the country director of ICRC, Alexander Petz, and certainly again of Korea. And we're here to discuss firstly multinational responses to security challenges, and secondly the evolving challenges of modern peacekeeping and crisis management from an education and training perspective. And I very much look forward to these exchanges and the recommendation that the EU and Indonesia can take from this discussion for their growing cooperation on security and defense. And finally, I again want to heartily thank CSIS for hosting this event. As I said in my introduction, CSIS is a strong institution, a pillar of modern and progressive Indonesia, and we're very glad to join hands with CSIS for this. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your welcoming speech. Now let us proceed with a photo session of the speaker, as well as the representative from CSIS and the European Union. For speakers and delegation from the European Union, please come to the front so we can proceed with the photo session. Thank you, and we request that all the distinguished speakers and delegation to kindly take your place. We will commence with the first session. Our first session on multinational responses to regional security challenges will be moderated by Ms. Clara Gatzlatt, Head of Division for Partnership in Crisis Management Planning, Director of the European Union External Action Service. Please, Ms. Clara Gatzlatt, to come to the stage and introduce the speaker. Thank you.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning. And it's my great honor to moderate this first panel. As we've heard already from the introductions, the Indian Ocean holds an immense strategic importance, economic and strategic, and it provides major sea routes connecting Asia, Europe and Africa. But as we also know, it faces major security challenges, both traditional and non-traditional threats. And it's very important that we address these challenges together. And this calls for cooperation and coordination. So this panel today that we have is very timely, and it's a great pleasure to introduce the distinguished speakers. So we have Dr. Shafia Munibat, who is the head of the Department of International Relations of the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the CSIS, our host today. And then we have His Excellency Kim Chow-Beong, who is the Ambassador of the Republic of Korea in Indonesia. And and the Embassy of Republic of Korea here in Jakarta. We have Mr. Paul Mitchell, who is the political advisor of the European Union Naval Force Operation Atalanta. Rear Admiral Dr. Amrullah Octavian, Commandant of the Indonesian Naval Command and Staff College, and Mr. Alexander Faith, the head of the regional delegation for Indonesia and Timor-Leste of the International Committee of the Red Cross, the ICRC. And I would invite all the speakers to come up and take place here on the podium. With this very distinguished panel in place, I think we this morning can have a very interesting discussion. And I would suggest that we will start with hearing two speakers who will set the frame, the context to the challenges, and then three speakers who will give us different perspectives to how we can work on this. So, therefore, without further ado, I will give the floor to the first speaker. And I would ask the speakers to limit their presentation to 15 minutes, because we have a very dense agenda, and I would very much like also to have the opportunity from an interactive session with questions and answers at the end. So with that, without further ado, I would like to ask Dr. Shafia Mila if you could start with your presentation, please.
Very good morning, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me as well to be part of this very distinguished panel this morning at this very important event that we are hosting today. I was asked to start the discussion and set the tone, basically, giving a very brief overview of the security challenges that we face at the moment. Both the keynote speakers this morning mentioned in their remarks that we now live in an interconnected world, where there are common threats and that we face common security challenges. So I'm just going to go through very briefly on some of the common security challenges that both Europe and we in Indonesia and South Asia in general are facing, and basically, what are these common challenges, and what basically some proposals that we can do to try to achieve them. To start off, it's basically, we have gone through a lot of changes since we talked about the Cold War several decades ago, and what has changed until now. So when we talk about that are now more security challenges, it's basically because the world has changed as well, and the dynamics that we will go through both in Europe and here in Southeast Asia mean that there's actually now less borders, meaning that there are bound to be more common security challenges. And there's also a shift from a security subject from dominant state to a more human-centric, and this means the emergence of new threats that we see at the moment, and some of that I will discuss later on. Threats that are not only military in nature, but including other aspects as well. So, and also very important is that, some of the more contemporary security challenges are now multidimensional and multinational in nature, meaning that the way that we handle these new challenges should also be different than the way we handled these challenges back several decades ago during the Cold War. So there are actually a number of security challenges, and some might be commonly faced among Europeans and Southeast Asians. But I'll just note, for the sake of this very brief introduction, let me just focus on a number of issues. The first one is the heightened nuclear tension in some parts of the world. Second is the tendency for military build-up faced by a lot of regions in the world. The third one is the ongoing territorial disputes and the efforts to actually manage some of these disputes. And the last one is the non-traditional security challenges, some of which I will discuss later on. The first one is the nuclear tension. I highlight this not only because of the tension itself, but the tendency of this to create global uncertainties. I highlight three issues here. The first is Iran, second is North Korea, and the third is related to Russia. These are all, common concern that the world is facing, but Europe and Asia might have different responses, in some cases similar responses, but in some there might be different issues. So, for example, when the US decided to leave the Iran nuclear deal in May 2018, for example, both Indonesia and the European Union stood firmly upon the deal and continues to engage Iran. It might be different with regards to North Korea, for example. I mean, the world experienced great optimism when the North Korean president met with the US president back in June 2018. But then again, as the time went on, and we see at least us from Southeast Asia, I'm pretty sure we might get some more inputs from our Korean counterparts. We are witnessing very slow movement in terms of actually reaching some of the deals that were reached at the June summit. And then 2 months ago, the US State Department announced that the state would not hesitate to impose sanctions on any entity supporting North Korea's so-called illicit activities. Regarding North Korea, the EU and Indonesia specifically might have different responses, although in some cases it's actually quite common. For example, the EU decided to maintain its sanction until North Korea fully denuclearized, while Indonesia has not so far imposed any sanction on North Korea. The third issue is related to Russia. This is highlighted very recently at the end of October 2018, which is just a couple of weeks ago, when the United States announced that it will leave the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, which has been in place for more than 3 decades already. And again, we still don't know the consequences of this announcement, but then we can predict for sure that this creates a lot of uncertainty in the way that states conduct international relations. I mentioned the different responses that might come from Europe and also from Indonesia. I highlight that we do have a similar stance on some of the issues, but the way that we respond to some of the issues might also be different. The second issue that I would like to highlight is the tendency for military build-up. This has been going on for several decades already. The tendency that states feel the need to increase their capacity in terms of military, increasing their military budget, increasing their defense budget, and this creates a different tone of arms race when we compare it to the arms race during the Cold War. You see in East Asia alone, in 2017, the military expenditure composed 67.2% of the total military expenditure all over Asia and Oceania. While in Europe, in Western Europe, it was 71.6% of the total military expenditure all over Europe. So this implies, very serious intention to actually build one's own capacity in terms of military. There might be two factors underlying this. First, there is just an overall concern about one's defense and security ability. But the second one, there's also the factors where states might actually face imminent threats from, be it another state or be non-state actors. So, but in a way, as I said, this again, similar to the first issue I raised, this creates a really strong sense of uncertainty in the world. For example, us in Indonesia, we keep saying that we are very much lacking in terms of defense budget. There's no way that we can catch up with some of the neighbors, some of our imminent neighbors in Southeast Asia in terms of defense budget, not to mention the Northeast Asian counterparts. But then again, there's strong demand for us to actually increase our military budget, because we see that this is the trend that we are facing at the moment, that states have to actually join the military build-up because that's what we need to do because we have these common security concerns. The third factor I would like to raise is regarding the territorial disputes. We can talk about a lot of cases in terms of this, but I'll just raise one, which is the South China Sea, because that's very imminent to the location that we are at the moment. When talking about South China Sea, you can look at it from two different perspectives. And from one perspective, there is increased tension. You see from some of the things that I mentioned in the slide here, there's increased tension because some of the countries, led by the US, are continuously conducting freedom of navigation operations, intriguing, responses from the Chinese side, and therefore, increasing tension. Some of the European countries are joining these follow-ups. The British have conducted that this year only. The French has as well, and I think Canada is also interested in joining some of the follow-ups. As ideal as it may sound that the objective of this follow-ups is to make sure that the territorial integrity of some states are put in place and that our freedom of navigation principles are in place. In no doubt that these operations might actually increase tension in the region, as proven by some of the responses that we have had so far that I listed here in slides. But on the other side, when talking about South China Sea, there is also still ongoing cooperation between ASEAN and China. You can see some of the issues, some of the progress in terms of the negotiations for the code of conduct. Some of the we even had a maritime exercise just a couple of months ago, and then different types of workshops on marine environment, on research activities have been done between ASEAN and China. And because some of this actually imply that although there is increased tension, there is ongoing also effort to actually reduce the tension. It's a matter of time to see which of these efforts might actually be more, be more proven to actually exist in the future. From territorial disputes, the last points that I would like to highlight is that there is, because I mentioned in the very beginning that open borders, interconnectedness, as mentioned by Dr. Hendrikyo earlier today. This interconnectedness meaning that there is bound to be more non-traditional security challenges at the moment as compared to the era of the Cold War. The first one that I would like to highlight is on violent extremism. Indonesia has been experiencing that this year only, several attacks already. Europe has been facing the same issues as well. Reading some of the reports, for example, reported by the Europol in 2018, there were 2005 attacks, both failed or completed ones across Europe in 2017, which shows an increase from the previous year where there were 142 cases reported. Indonesia also faced an increase in these attacks, and also this not only in terms of the attacks, but also proven by the number of perpetrators detained, which was 163 in 2016, increased to 172 people in 2017. Another issue I think also very relevant to both Indonesia and Europe is related to the return of the foreign fighters. It's a big issue here in Indonesia. And I think in a lot of regards it's also a big issue in Europe as well. So a number of measures have been carried out to this, and I believe that there has been very close cooperation among our European counterparts and Indonesia to work together to tackle issues of violent extremism and terrorism. In a way, some of them fruitful, but no doubt that further cooperation is required in the future. Another type of non-traditional security challenge that is very imminent to Indonesia and I think very important to Europe as well is related to IUU fishing. This might sound, fishing sound innocent if you glance at it very quickly, but it's actually a very serious issue. Indonesia, in several years back, has been trying to promote, to get IUU IUU fishing recognized as a transnational organized crime, which is something that has succeeded in Southeast Asia. Indonesia has been taking the issue very seriously since 2014, since the current administration took office. You can see from the table on the slide that the number of vessels being detained in Indonesia, and this is one of the issues that the current government is taking very seriously, and it's one of the forefront measures that the government is trying both to, basically protect our territorial integrity from illegal fisher, and also to basically protect also our natural resources. And I think the EU is also taking the issue very seriously, as shown by its anti-IUU fishing efforts since 2010. Giving yellow cards to some of the countries that are found to be, breaking some of the regulations, some of the standards that is needed to comply in terms of fishing. And I think in this way, this is an issue that both the European Union and Indonesia is very seriously taking care of at the moment. The next one is on irregular movement of people. Some of them call this a refugee issue, which is we know more as a bigger issue in Europe, but you might be surprised it's also a big issue here in Indonesia as well. Although we, it's not as widely reported as the issue in Europe. This is basically some of the issues that are listed here on the slides. But for Indonesia, this has become an issue related to a lot of aspects as well. There are refugees coming in from mainland Southeast Asia, from Myanmar, especially when we talk about refugees coming out of the Rohingya, the Rakhine state, that it becomes also a religious, social issue that Indonesia is facing at the moment, and there is very strong demand to the government to actually do more to try to manage the influx of refugees coming into Indonesia. The next one, and this is one of my last slides, another non-traditional security challenge that we deal with both in Europe and Indonesia is related to natural disasters, including disasters that is caused by climate change, of course. Indonesia was just last month hit by a very sad tragedy in an earthquake followed by tsunami in Palu, and then also so this creates a different sense of understanding of our own security as a country, how we are very much lacking in terms of disaster preparedness. And that, when talking about natural disasters, when you talk about human security, and the fact that we are lacking this, added with, our unpreparedness to a lot of other types of disasters in the country, then, raise this alarm that, how Indonesia is actually doing to try to protect the security of both the country and also the citizens. So these are, some of the more common security challenges. I'm pretty sure we can dig up, more and more common challenges that we are facing, and I'm pretty sure the next speakers will go into details on some of the issues. But basically, some concluding notes that, as I mentioned in the beginning, that there is now more and more common security challenges, even though Europe and Indonesia is very far away from each other. But the tendency at the moment means that there's actually more security challenges, which means that intensifying cooperation is mandatory, particularly related to technological advancement. And then lastly is that involvement of all actors, because I mentioned new types of challenges, new types of actors. This means that the involvement of all actors, state, private, society, non-state, is then very much needed to try to tackle these issues. I'll stop here and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for this very comprehensive yet concentrated overview of the security challenges. That is very, very interesting. So please, Mr. Tate, if you could then give the second presentation for the ICRC.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Well, we get set up with my presentation. Maybe one word of clarification for those of you who may be a bit new to the Red Cross. The Red Cross is a big movement which has the International Community of the Red Cross, which represents International Federation and National Societies of the Indonesian Red Cross. The International Community of the Red Cross focuses mainly on conflicts, whereas our colleagues from the International Federation and the National Leagues, like Indonesian Red Cross, will focus on national disasters. So today, of course, Indonesia was impacted by a very severe natural catastrophe recently. I will not speak about them because it's not really the focus of my presentation nor the mandate of the ICRC. This is smooth, right? Okay, look, I've been in the ICRC for almost 22 years now, and my previous mission, it's interesting, I've taken these two pictures which were on the opening slide of my presentation were actually quite telling when I realized I didn't choose them for that reason, but on the one hand, you have EU-Indonesia, Somalia, and you have the UNAFOR, Atalanta. Okay, but this is almost the same area which I had actually the occasion to visit before, because I was head of delegation in Yemen just before this mission for 2 years, and deputy head of delegation in Somalia. So I was really close to this, but there is a major difference between the two. And it's not only because one is on land and the other one is on sea. This is the major difference. Today I'm being requested to sort of bring the legal framework into perspective, while our colleagues and presenters have focused and are going to focus on some of the challenges. I will rather focus on the legal framework. So, UT in Somalia, we have clearly an armed conflict in Somalia. It's been going on for years. It's a non-international armed conflict. It's an armed conflict with a non-international character. It's not disputed by anyone. So the legal framework is very clear. Whereas UNAFOR, Atalanta, is mainly dealing with piracy. We'll hear more about it in a minute. But of course, it's not an armed conflict. And therefore, the legal framework is different. It's very different because it's law enforcement, and international humanitarian law is not illegal. And this has a number of very important consequences, which I'm going to highlight in my presentation. International humanitarian law, well, peace operations, I suppose we'll hear about them, deployed frequently, albeit not always, but in a situation when there is an armed conflict going on. And IHL is therefore applicable. The law of IHL, which is also called the law of armed conflict, and you have the choice between the two. And of course, naturally, contingents have to respect that law. That's the minimum you could ask for them. Now, the question is not simple, because the question of the status of peacekeepers, are they civilians, are they combatants? It's a very long debate that would take quite a few hours, and I'm not going to enter that debate here. But quite clearly, one framework that those challenges will face can be international humanitarian. Here, I took the liberty to introduce a little bit the endeavors that the European Union, sometimes in close cooperation with us, can I say, has been to define rules of international humanitarian law which should be applied. So in 2005, the guidelines on improving compliance on IHL were adopted, updated in 2009. So I'm not going to go into all the way that the EU is promoting this. This may be done. I received this slide from our colleagues in Brussels who are interacting with your departments and kindly provided this slide to me. Now, the other side of the coin And we have been hearing about, for instance, terrorism from the previous speaker. I will come to it in a minute. Sometimes IHL is not applicable, so it's law enforcement, which can be pretty robust, because these guys on the boat probably had Kalashnikovs, yeah? Okay, so it's law enforcement, but not with angels. Okay, we are dealing with people who can use force, yet it is not an armed conflict. It's so how do you manage this? What are the limits? Because naturally, we are dealing here with the use of firearms outside an armed conflict. And forced, and this is quite widely recognized, and it's not theory, you know on the internet, is used only when strictly necessary. So it's very different, because normally the people on the boat should be captured. They should not be shot at immediately. Now if they start shooting at least we have a situation of self-defense and so on. I won't go into too many details, but it's quite different from the rules that apply in an armed conflict situation. Okay? So in ASEAN, in Asia, well, both are applicable. I have taken a few examples here, quite clearly, and it's not disputed by the Filipino government that yes, international humanitarian law is applicable in the situation in the south. In Myanmar, quite okay, this is still being discussed and so on, but yeah, I think there are elements that show quite clearly the situation of armed confrontation. And then international human rights law is applicable, but of course it's applicable everywhere, because international human rights law apply all the time and everywhere. But all those situations that, for instance, the previous speaker has spoken about, what about dealing with illegal fishing, what about dealing with terrorism, what about dealing with people who are trafficking human beings, drugs or smuggling and so on. In as much as it's not an armed conflict, humanitarian law is not applicable, but one has to respect international law whenever enforcing the operations, and that's international human rights. Okay. Now, I thought it was interesting because the previous speaker has spoken of territorial disputes, and I didn't want you to be under the impression that naval operation will always be human rights law sort of affair. Because, yeah, the first picture there is the one from my earlier slide, but I took the second one from the internet this morning. I'm sure you have heard the row between two boats in the Black Sea, okay, which happened quite recently with some sailors being captured and brought to custody. Well, I have no doubt that the status of these people are prisoners of war. Even if the party goals, then will maybe turn around and lead around the bush. But between two states, whenever you have a situation like this, it is de facto, de jure, if you want to sound pedantic, it is a situation of an international armed conflict, which anyway already exists, which already exists. So don't get me wrong when I speak of naval operation, piracy and terrorism and trafficking and so on. As the previous speaker mentioned, territorial dispute can pretty quickly also bring into application the law of armed conflict at sea, for which, as mentioned here, we had a workshop in 2018 with people. Okay. What about Indonesia? Well, Indonesia plans to increase the number of peacekeepers to 4,000. It's probably linked to, of course, them being becoming an permanent member of the UN Security Council. And I'm going to speak about Indonesia again. I wanted just to say a couple of words on the ICRC, not so much, to sort of speak about ourselves, though there is the inevitable promotional slide. But what I wanted to show is that we have been interacting quite closely with everyone. We have tried to, at least. EUTM Mali, for instance, the bottom is the slide you saw earlier, is EUTM Somalia. And the ICRC is working with EUTM, the European Training Mission, to teach international maintenance. It's pretty exotic in Somalia because we have not only the army, but also the clan militias, which have been incorporated into the national army and are there. It's a pretty interesting sight to see them. I can tell you, they're pretty rugged. I saw that. And I also chose EUTM Mali because I was head of the mission in Mali before Somalia. And there as well, we interacted very closely with EUTM. EUTM effectively asking the ICRC to do the presentation in humanitarian work. Not all of them, but quite a significant number were done. The training of the Mali army was done by EUTM in terms of military terms. We did the IHS. So we do interact with the EU. And then, what about the ICRC in Indonesia? Well, sorry, I put myself on that slide, I'm afraid. But these two pictures were taken yesterday, believe it or not. Okay, so yesterday I gave a presentation to Babi Nkume, which is the national Babi Nkume, the development aid, low development agency of the Indonesian Armed Forces, and I'm being thanked there by my two-star general. And we give also a lot of dissemination sessions to the peacekeeping troops. I'm told by my team that we have touched roughly 10,000 peacekeepers. And for this, I would like to highlight something which is also brand new, it's going today. Next year, we are going to have a seminar precisely with the Indonesian Armed Forces on the promotion of peacekeeping and international humanitarian work. So you see that we work with the European Union, we work with the Indonesian government, we work with the Indonesian Armed Forces for anything that's related to international humanitarian. We are a bit less specialized for international human rights, so it's less our focus, but of course we are also contributing to this. So I will finish my presentation by a little wink to you. This is my contacts, and this, I can say this is a specialist from Atalanta. In fact, the gentleman there in orange are the pirates. Okay, it was during my mission in Somalia. We are, as part of the work with the ICRC, we are visiting jails as well quite regularly. And this was in Bosaso. So some of the pirates which were arrested on the picture on the bottom are on the picture on the top, and that's in the prison in Bosaso which we visited. Okay. So to conclude, one word conclusion is the importance of the legal framework. Let's be very, very clear on which framework we're dealing with. We don't have the time to go into this, but what about terrorism? Well, terrorism is a bit of it. Okay, we don't have the time to go into this, but sometimes terrorism is dealt with with law enforcement measures, like if somebody is arrested at the airport. Yeah, that would be, of course, human rights law, which is applicable in the street and so on. But of course, you have a number of armed conflicts which are waged because of the alleged, real or not, but alleged threat of terrorism, in which case, if it's an armed conflict, therefore, international humanitarian law is applicable. So, I look forward to continue the interaction with the European Union, with the CSIS, of course, on the issue of the promotion of international humanitarian law, to some extent human rights as well, also with the Indonesian armed forces and all the colleagues around. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Phillips, for setting out the importance of the new framework for international humanitarian law or human rights law, and also for mentioning the importance of doing the training and integrating IHL into the training also. With this, I think very excellent cases for continuing the discussions with three different perspectives on the challenges great pleasure to invite Rear Admiral Amarula Octavian to the floor to give us the perspective from the Indonesian side. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Distinguished Ambassador, Director of CSIS, European Union Delegation, all participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is an honor and pleasure for me to take part in this public dialogue. I would like to thank the CSIS for the generous invitation. And today, I will present my academic perspective on Indonesia, European Union, maritime security cooperation. And before that, I would like to introduce myself. I am Rear Admiral Amarula Octavian. I hold a doctoral degree on military sociology from the University of Indonesia and a Master of Science degree on geopolitics from University Paris II. And before my current position as the commander of Naval Command and Staff College, I was the Dean of Defense Management Faculty in the Indonesia Defense University. For today's talk, I have used numerous references and books, and here are some. Ladies and gentlemen, I will start my presentation with a brief overview of maritime security cooperation, followed by an academic perspective on theories of maritime strategy, maritime cooperation, and maritime conflict. I will then present the types of regional maritime security threat and the role of Indonesian Navy play in managing maritime security. And before I conclude my presentation, I will present some initiatives on Indonesia-European Union maritime security cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, maritime security cooperation is crucial for both military and civilian maritime forces. With its global maritime provision, Indonesia is obligated to not only cooperate but also encourage regional states to work together to eradicate armed robbery and piracy, IUU fishing, and to prevent maritime pollution. Moreover, Indonesia has also announced its ocean policy. In regard to maritime security threat, piracy and armed robbery against ships at sea remain challenging in a number of areas. The Gulf of Aden is a very important waterway for economy and trade of the European Union, and thus the Somali pirates and network of transnational organized crime group remain a key security concern for Europe. Piracy attacks have caused significant economic losses for many countries, both littoral and coastal states. We have also experienced having one of its flagship taken hostage for ransom by Somali pirates, as in the case of MV Sinar Kudus. Maritime security threat also remain in the water of the Malacca and Singapore Strait. Around 70,000 ships sail through the strait annually, or at least 150 until 200 ships every day. Threat to navigational safety and piracy are major issues for these ships in the Malacca Strait and Singapore Strait. These waters are also prone to various criminal activities at sea, from smuggling of drugs, arms, and human to illegal fishing, terrorism, and kidnapping. Any discussion on the maritime domain should also take the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, or SDG, into consideration, in particular SDG number 14. It focuses on human interaction with the sea and marine resources that cover more than 70% of the Earth's surface to address conservation and sustainable use. As the instrument of defense to the largest archipelagic state in the world, the Indonesian Navy holds an important role in maintaining the stability of maritime security by increasing capacity and capability to become a world-class Navy to guarantee Indonesia's national interests and participate in maintaining regional and global stability. This is achievable through, among others, intensive cooperation with the European Union in the field of cooperation, education and training, and transfer of technology. Ladies and gentlemen, before I continue with today's topic, I would like to highlight some theories underlying my talk today. Mahan underlined how a country's geographical position is perceived as an important element for a state to develop robust cooperation with other nations. The strategic value of the Malacca state, as an example, exemplify the importance of geographical position and how it would push further cooperation. Corbett, on the other hand, underlined the presence of navies to control the sea. To achieve the goal of securing the sea and shipping route, regional navies should work together and respect each other and try to build strengthened relationships. Christian Huger provides a more moderate perspective on maritime security, in which he considers that maritime security must be approached traditionally in reference to naval strategy by taking into account the protection of national maritime border and sensitive cross-border maritime trade flow point. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, in regard to regional maritime security, the prominent maritime security threats are drug smuggling, piracy, armed robbery against ships, terrorism and human trafficking, marine pollution, and IUU. This threat can be categorized into two types. The first is land-based threat, and we shall start with drug smuggling. President Joko Widodo is very concerned with the misuse of drug and narcotics in Indonesia, particularly the young generation. The fact is Indonesia is in the midst of the drug smuggling traffic as well as the target of drug global market. Drug smuggling operations have shifted from the use of land as transportation route to the use of sea land. From the cases you could see in this slide, it is evident that Indonesia is a strategic route for drug smuggling operation. Piracy and armed robbery at sea are the main threat of global shipping safety and security, including the Southeast Asian region. Maritime terrorism is defined as an action or activity that does not only involve direct action on maritime aspect, but everything related to terrorism is carried out in, to, and through the sea. In the Southeast Asian region, potential threat of maritime terrorism exists in the Sulu Sea and Sulawesi Sea due to the activities of Abu Sayyaf Group and its kidnapping and ransom-taking operation along both seas. Indonesia has been taken hostage several times in these waters, in which one of the cases was the hostage taking of 2 Indonesians in the waters of the Sulu Sea on 19 November 2016. Both hostages were released through a military operation. In regard to human trafficking, Indonesia is committed to addressing the issue of human smuggling and illegal migrants through bilateral, regional, and international cooperation mechanisms. The number of illegal migrants as of 30 June 2017 is over 14,000, while UNHCR states there are more than 5,000 asylum seekers and more than 8,000 refugees. Therefore, Indonesia believes this issue requires sustainable solutions in order to overcome the root of cause of human smuggling and illegal migrants, such as poverty, lack of access, injustice, lack of enforcement of human rights, development disparities, and lack of education. Marine pollution has become a major maritime security threat that originates or occurs at sea, mainly caused by human activities. There is already an international convention on this matter, known as the Water Dumping 1972. It addresses the prohibition of international waste disposal in the marine environment. Indonesia has also issued regulations on marine pollution. Oil spill, one of the main contributors to marine pollution due to accident at sea. A heavily trafficked strait such as Malacca Strait is highly vulnerable against collision between large vessels and those posing greater threat of oil spill. Pollution is also caused by intentional waste disposal from vessels passing through the strait. The Indian Ocean also experiences the same issue due to the lack of legal supervision and enforcement system, as well as weak laws and regulation. IUU fishing is yet another grave threat against Indonesian waters, sovereignty, and also marine resources. Therefore, Indonesia improved its law enforcement in order to eradicate IUU fishing and other illegal activities that damage the marine environment. Ladies and gentlemen, let us look at the role of the Indonesian Navy in managing security. The tasks of the Indonesian Navy include performing military duties, conduct law enforcement, exercise naval diplomacy, and developing naval power. The Indonesian Navy need to formulate a strategy to secure the country's water in the face of dynamic and challenging global, regional, and national strategic environment, as well as in tackling current and future maritime security threats. The Indonesian Navy work closely together with stakeholders in tackling drug smuggling. One of the recent cases in the MV Sunrise Glory, information was first received by Task Force 115 and BNN. The Navy Western Fleet Quick Response Team from Main Naval Base 4, BNN, Customs, and the National Police work together in investigating this case. The success of the operation reflected the synergy among law enforcement agencies on maritime security at sea in tackling transnational organized crime. In regard to tackling piracy, armed robbery, and maritime terrorism, Indonesia, together with Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, cooperate under the umbrella of Malacca Strait Patrol to secure the Malacca Strait. Another form of cooperation is the Trilateral Maritime Patrol Indo-Malvi, a joint operation among Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines in order to face security challenges and the threat along the three countries' maritime boundary in the Sulawesi Sea and Sulawesi Sea. I would like to give you some examples of the Indonesian Navy experience in eradicating this criminal act. In 2014, the Indonesian Navy conducted an operation to free every Sinar cruise, in which it deployed 2 frigates, a landing platform, helicopter, and along with Special Forces personnel. This was the first time for the Indonesian Navy to deploy its naval forces and assets to water beyond Indonesia. By conducting a direct military operation in Somali waters reflected Indonesia's show of force as one of the world maritime powers, which allowed it to gain recognition and credibility from other countries. Another case is the MT Haizun 12 hijacking. The vessel was reported missing to recap information center just 12 hours after communication was lost. This information was sent to Bakamla since it was suspected the vessel was heading to Sulawesi and was not the planned route for the ship. After informing the Indonesian Navy, a search was conducted in which one of the Navy warships spotted a vessel similar to MT Haizun 12 and immediately sent a VBSS team. 9 hijackers were captured and 21 hostages were freed. In regard to human trafficking and illegal migrants, Indonesia is active in the Bali process on people smuggling, trafficking in person, and related transnational crimes or the Bali process. And since 2002, Indonesia has co-chaired the forum with Australia. At present, its members include 45 countries and 3 international organizations with 28 countries and organizations function as observer. Indonesia is also increasing collaboration with ASEAN that already has the infrastructure in overcoming human trafficking, which often occur in southern seas of Indonesia, closely located to Australia, one of the destination countries for illegal immigration from countries in the Middle East to seek asylum. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the worst cases of oil spill incident in the region occurred at the West Atlas, a Motara oil well platform located in the Timor, around 690 kilometers west of Darwin. The rig location was within Australia's jurisdiction, but soon it became a major issue for Indonesia as the oil spill moved into Indonesian waters since 2009. The oil spill contaminated the water of Western Australia, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, and Indonesia for 74 days. It reached as far as 50 miles from the territorial water between Indonesia and Australia. The economy of coastal communities along the polluted waters took a heavy blow, leaving only 8% of the normal production compared to before the pollution occurred. Another case in the oil spill in Balikpapan Bay in March 2018 this year. The leakage was allegedly due to the breaking of crude oil pipeline that was broken and shifted about 120 meters from its initial position. The cause of the broken pipe was suspected due to the entourage of M3 effort treasure with its 12-ton anchor that was stuck on one of the pipes and eventually broke it. This incident could have been prevented since the Indonesian Navy Hydrographic and Oceanographic Center published an updated chart of Balikpapan Bay in 2015, which included instructions on prohibiting anchorage in the pipeline areas located at the bay. In order to eradicate IUU fishing in Indonesia, Task Force 115 was established by President Joko Widodo to support existing law enforcement activities against violations and crimes in the fishery sector, especially illegal fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to present a number of ideas on Indonesia-European Union maritime security cooperation. Indonesia and the European Union have agreed on a framework agreement on partnership and comprehensive cooperation in 2009. It aims to strengthen bilateral relations through comprehensive dialogue and encourage further cooperation for mutual interests. Given the importance of operational standardization of maritime security, cooperation may be carried out in the area of information sharing, logistical support. Cooperation with relevant partner countries could be carried out through the ASEAN framework or bilaterally in the form of operational level. In regard to managing land-based threat, here are some of the cooperation Indonesia and European Union can have, from strengthening Coast Guard cooperation, developing contingency plan, to having EU naval officers as observer during Malacca patrol and trilateral battle operation and patrol. For sea-based threat, some of the cooperation might be similar, but we could add building connectivity among existing information centers between bordering states as well as improvement of fisheries monitoring and reporting systems. In regard to cooperation on education and training, the possibility is endless. Conduct joint research, professor exchange, training on cross-sectoral maritime security, joint exercises, and others. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also my pleasure to inform you that I will leave for Europe next week to visit a number of European maritime universities and faculties who are committed to assist Indonesia in developing its own Indonesia Maritime University. I will lead a delegation that also includes the Ministry of Higher Education for these photos. This is a concrete step that has been taken by Indonesia and the European Union in terms of cooperation on education and training in the area of maritime security. And now I would like to conclude my point. Regional maritime security faces grave threat of transnational organization. This threat have increased due to the globalization. The Indonesian Navy has demonstrated its sovereignty and legal effort in maintaining territorial integrity from the threat of maritime security, as in the case of the capture of MV Sunrise Glory in the Singapore threat, for example in the Singapore Strait, the release of MV Sinakudus from Somali pirates in the waters of the Gulf of Aden, and the release of the hijacked MV Haisun 12 in the Java Sea. Indonesia and the European Union have the opportunity to expand existing maritime security cooperation and also add new initiative with the endorsement of the framework agreement on comprehensive partnership and cooperation between the two parties. The European Union offers various kinds of maritime security cooperation, especially in the field of cooperation and education or training, to build regional security as a form of interdependence-rich collective interest, both regionally and globally. By strengthening and expanding bilateral maritime security, Indonesia and the European Union could contribute to their respective national interests as well as support regional maritime security in an era where regions are connected by the seas and cooperation is key to peace and stability. This ends my presentation and thank you for your kind attention.
Many thanks for this very comprehensive presentation, which set out the role of the Indonesian Navy in ensuring the maritime security, and also I think pointed out some very helpful ideas for how we could deepen the EU-Indonesia cooperation in this area. Then I would like to turn to the next speaker, which is His Excellency Ambassador Kim, and to give the Korean perspective, Korea being a very close and long-standing partner of the EU in the security area. So please, the floor is yours.